The Scripps Howard Foundation is proud to honor distinguished service to the First Amendment with the Edward WIllis Scripps Award. The winner, Carol Rosenberg, the Miami Herald for Guantanamo.
I deal with a military that at times doesn't like to answer my questions, won't talk to me, censors my photos, restricts my movements, routinely threatens to ban me from further visits in a system of military intimidation, and decides at times on a whim that I should sleep in a tent rather than pay like anyone else for a hotel available to civilian guests, $50 a night.
That's how Carol Rosenberg, military affairs reporter for the Miami Herald, describes her experience as the longest-serving journalist at the U.S. military's Guantanamo Bay Detention Center in southeast Cuba. Herald editors decided a prison out of reach by American courts should not be out of reach by American journalism, and assigned Rosenberg the Gitmo beat, starting with its creation in response to 9/11. She was there when the first 20 War on Terror prisoners arrived in 2002, and she's returned more than 1,000 times since, cultivating sources among cooks, guards, and nurses, always demanding the transparency guaranteed by the U.S. military's motto. Whether she's live tweeting court proceedings, testing security limits with a Google Glass tour, or writing for print and online media, her stories about terror trials, hunger strikes, suicides, and prison conditions are often about human rights, social justice, and what the government doesn't want the public to know in its maximum security offshore prison. Sometimes when officials refuse to release public information, Rosenberg uses the Freedom of Information Act to get it. Twice, the newspaper has filed lawsuits to open files. First, for a list of prisoners the government wants to hold forever, and then to learn how much the maximum security prison is costing Americans. She's endured gag orders, constantly changing policies about what she can and cannot do, and even a baseless sexual harassment complaint filed by a Pentagon spokesman who wanted the Herald to replace her. But Rosenberg remains the keeper of the record for what has been one of the most controversial chapters in America's response to the terrorist attacks of 9/11.
At its core, the First Amendment is about standing up to government.
She has pierced a veil of secrecy that the government has made every effort to maintain.
Imagine when the government is the United States military, how much courage it takes to stand up to that kind of organization and institution.
Wow, dedication and courage. Presenting the Edward WIllis Scripps Award for Distinguished Service to the First Amendment and $10,000 is Scripps Howard Foundation trustee Adam Simpson, Senior Vice President and Chief Digital Officer for the E.W. Scripps Company, and accepting is Carol Rosenberg of the Miami Herald.
Wow. Thank you very much. This really is a most unusual, unimaginable beat in American journalism. Imagine a news lab or focus group saying, go to Guantanamo, cover foreign Muslim men nobody cares about, hire lawyers, struggle with the U.S. military for scraps. So thank you to the Scripps Howard Foundation. And this really is a tribute to those Miami Herald editors and McClatchy executives who have been rock solid in their commitment to this unpopular story. Unpopular through military efforts to crush meaningful coverage and a truly terrible era of downsizing of the American newspaper industry. Weaker men and women would have walked away, blamed diminishing resources. About the US military. Not everyone embraces the culture of censorship at Guantanamo that distorts what the public sees, knows. There really are soldiers and sailors who know that this is not the Pentagon's prison, not the Pentagon's court. It's America's prison, an American court. There are 122 captives down there, 57 of them cleared to go with security arrangements, kept by a staff of 2,000 soldiers and civilians. And the American people are entitled to meaningful answers about the complexity, the challenges, the costs, the contradictions, not facile Cold War rhetoric about we are always good and they are all evil. Lastly, thank you for this award because, you know, it's honoring functionally about reporting the incremental, the drip, drip, drip of daily, sometimes hourly news developments, telling a story a day at a time. And I believe, and I suspect Mr. E.W. Scripps believed, that it's the lifeblood of American journalism. Thank you.